the wrong table. The clink of fine crystal and the low hum of curated conversation were the soundtrack of his loneliness. Alexander Vance, CEO of Vance Innovations, sat at his usual secluded table at Bistro Elan, a man encased in a fortress of his own making. At 38, he had amassed more wealth than he could ever spend, but the one currency that eluded him was genuine connection. The woman sitting across from him, a meticulously chosen match from an exclusive dating service, was a perfect specimen on paper, a neurosurgeon with a passion for classical piano. And she was currently describing the intricacies of a temporal lobectomy with the same enthusiasm one might reserve for a grocery list. And the key is to sever the hippocampal formation with absolute precision, she said, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Fascinating, Alex replied, his voice a low, practiced murmur. His own smile was a corporate asset, a tool for boardrooms and mergers. But tonight it felt like a physical weight on his face. His gaze drifted over her shoulder, scanning the room out of habit, a CEO always assessing his environment. That's when he saw him. A man, maybe mid-30s, with kind, slightly bewildered eyes and hair that looked like it had been hastily tamed with water, was sliding into the empty seat at the reserved table next to theirs. He wasn't wearing the required jacket. His was a simple, comfortable-looking sweater, and he moved with a quiet, practical grace that was utterly out of place amidst the Art Deco glamour of the bistro. Alex watched, intrigued as the man nervously straightened the cutlery. "Are you even listening, Alexander?" the neurosurgeon asked, a slight edge to her voice. "My apologies. A logistical issue," he said, his eyes never leaving the stranger. A harried-looking waiter appeared at the man's table. "Sir, your date just called. She's stuck in the elevator at the Pemberton building. She says she's so sorry, but it might be an hour." The man's shoulders slumped. He offered a small, defeated smile. "Right. An hour. Okay. Thanks for letting me know." He made to get up, and something in Alex broke. Or perhaps something clicked into place. "Don't go." The words were out of Alex's mouth before he could stop them, spoken not to his own date, but to the man at the next table. Both the man and the neurosurgeon stared at him. Alex turned to his date, his CEO persona snapping back into focus. "Dr. Evans, you have been a fascinating and brilliant companion. However, an urgent matter has come to my attention that requires my immediate personal intervention. Marcel will comp your meal and see you home in the company car. My deepest apologies." Dr. Evans blinked, her pride visibly wounded, but she was too polished to make a scene. She simply nodded, collected her purse, and left without a backward glance. Alex didn't watch her go. He stood, picked up his wine glass, and walked the 3 steps to the neighboring table. "Mind if I join you?" Alex asked, his trademark smile finally feeling real, touching the corners of his eyes. "It seems we've both been stood up." The man looked up, his confusion giving way to a warm, if hesitant, chuckle. Sure, I'm Ben." He didn't offer a last name. "Alex." They shook hands. Ben's grip was firm, his skin slightly rough. "So who was your escapee?" Ben asked, relaxing visibly now that the pressure of a formal date was gone. "A neurosurgeon. She was explaining how to remove a part of my brain. I felt it was a metaphor I should probably walk away from." Alex took a sip of wine, studying Ben. He was unpretentious, his laughter easy and genuine. "And yours?" "Elementary school teacher, Sarah. She seemed nice in her messages." Ben shrugged, a flush creeping up his neck. "Guess the universe had other plans. Or a faulty elevator." What followed was the easiest conversation of Alex's life. They talked about everything and nothing. Ben spoke about his love for old black and white movies and his failed attempt to grow tomatoes on his fire escape. He was witty, self-deprecating, and listened with a quiet intensity that made Alex feel like he was the only person in the world. For the first time in years, Alex wasn't performing. He wasn't the CEO, he was just Alex, making a man with kind eyes laugh. He told Ben about his love for sailing, carefully omitting the size of the yacht and his dislike for corporate galas, which Ben found hilariously relatable. "What do you do?" Ben asked eventually, swirling the water in his glass. "You have this in-charge kind of vibe." Alex felt a familiar pang of dread. This was always the moment the dynamic shifted. The moment he became Alexander Vance. The mask had to go back on. I'm in management. Tech sector. It's dull. What about you? A shadow, fleeting but deep, passed over Ben's face. He looked down at his hands. I'm a janitor. Over at the Pemberton building, actually. The one with the broken elevator. The confession hung in the air, a challenge. Ben looked up, waiting for the subtle shift in expression, the condescending pity he was so used to. Alex's smile didn't falter. It widened. Honest work. I respect that. It must be satisfying. Making order out of chaos at the end of the day. Ben's eyes widened in surprise, then softened with something akin to gratitude. The rest of the evening melted away in a soft, focused haze of shared desserts and more laughter. When the bill came, Alex insisted on paying. My disaster, my treat, he said. They stepped out into the cool night air, the city lights shimmering around them. The connection was electric, palpable. I'd really like to see you again, Ben, Alex said, his voice uncharacteristically vulnerable. I'd like that too. Alex, Ben replied, his smile brighter than the city skyline. In a moment of pure, uncalculated impulse, Alex leaned in and kissed him. It was not a CEO's kiss. It was soft, hopeful, and filled with the promise of a future he'd thought was impossible. Ben kissed him back, his hand coming up to rest gently on Alex's jaw. When they parted, breathless and smiling, Ben reached into his pocket. Here, he said, pressing a small rectangular card into Alex's hand. My number. Call me. He gave Alex one last, devastating smile, then turned and walked away, disappearing into the flow of pedestrians. Alex stood there for a long moment, his heart hammering against his ribs. He felt lighter than he had in a decade. He looked down at the card in his hand, a stupid, lovesick grin on his face. It wasn't a personal card. It was a business card. Thick, premium cardstock. Embossed in elegant, understated lettering was a name and a title. Benjamin Carter, Head of Internal Ethics and Compliance, Vance Innovations below it. In smaller print, ensuring the integrity of our workplace. The world tilted on its axis. The kind eyes, the rough hands, the story about being a janitor, it was all a test. A corporate espionage tactic? A power play from the board? A cruel joke? The air left Alex's lungs in a rush. He stared at the spot where Ben had vanished, the memory of the kiss now burning like acid on his lips. The heartbreaking irony was a physical blow. He had spent the entire evening, for the first time in his life, feeling truly seen for who he was, only to discover he was the only one who had been completely, utterly blind.